Hello, or should I say howdy, and welcome to US Cricket Now, the podcast covering all things Major League Cricket. I'm Peter Della.
And I'm Aaman Patel. Coming up, we take a look at the result between MI New York and Washington Freedom.
MI New York have taken the road less desired, but they have proven it's not how you start, it is how you finish.
And later, we have so many people to hear from. The Bart King Award winner, the Under-23, the first ever Under-23 award winner. This is going to be a great show, guys.
Don't forget to follow US Cricket Now on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And you can watch us. You can see how great Aaman looks in his Pemboy hat on YouTube. Just search US Cricket Now. Aaman, what a night. This has to be the best of the three Major League Cricket finals. Went down to the wire, went down to the final over. And the one name I think people are going to remember from tonight, Rushil Ugarkar. What a moment for him.
What a moment indeed. And it just feels like the epitome of his career to this point in the US of A. In 2023, first year Major League, wasn't part of the MI New York team. Really was an unknown name amongst the group. Kind of had a couple of minor league things going on, but then he gets to be a part of the Dallas Mustangs. And that was a group in 2023 that had featured 8 major leaguers. They were going to win the tournament regardless that year. And then in the semifinal Super Sixes stage, he takes a fifer to send them to the final, a much needed fifer. And then from that point on, he has steadily ascended up the ranks. He's net bowling in the IPL with the MI franchise. He's getting picked up in Major League. And this year, he's had such an incredible year. You talk about the wickets he's taken, the moments in which he's produced. And then you say all that, and I went to him at the end of the game. First person I saw at the end of the game was him. Great relationship. And I go up to him and I said, what are you thinking? Glenn Maxwell, Glenn Phillips, they're out there, and you've got 10 runs to give. What do you think? You got 12 runs to give. What are you thinking? And he goes, no, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't really nervous. I would go cutters into the wicket. There's long side was there, and nope, that was the plan. And I said, was there any moment where you kind of like felt something? He's like, the only moment where I thought my heart jumped a bit was when I got rushing out. Other than that, felt really, really calm. And the way he said it to me, it wasn't like the classic athlete answer of, oh yeah, that was what we do. It was truly what he was feeling. He smiled the whole time at me. He was never feeling exhausted. It never felt like he had the adrenaline rushing through him. He was just going about his work. And that over, I think, sums his career up so perfectly.
For somebody to be 22 years old in that moment, I mean, when it was announced over the loudspeakers, Doherty said, and coming on to bowl the 20th over, Rushil Ugarkar, I didn't know what to think, because I thought, wow, first, this is unusual that somebody that young as a domestic player is being trusted in that moment. And then I thought, well, why is it unusual? Because he's been really good in these moments.
Yes.
It shouldn't be unusual. This is just a sign of the trust and the ability that he has. This wasn't a token gesture, right? He fully deserved it. And then I thought, oh, this could go one of two ways. He could get crushed by Glenn Maxwell here, and it could shatter his confidence, and that could take a long time to come back from. Or this could make his career.
Yeah.
And the latter happened, and it was so incredible. And for the history of the league, I thought this was so cool because you had the very first night of Major League Cricket, Ali Khan bowled the first over.
Yep.
And it was in the post-match press conference that night talking about how his captain gave him the first over because he understood the historical significance. Yes, there were other guys in the team who could have gotten that first over, but they thought, hey, this is an American league. An American should be bowling the first over in Major League Cricket. And now to have an American be the leading scorer in Major League Cricket in year 3, Penna Patel being the Bart King Award winner, and to have an American born in St. Louis, spent a lot of time in India developmentally in Bangalore, but he's come back here and he's risen up. Ironically, did not get included in the USA Under-19 squad in 2021, and that was a huge motivational factor for him. He was rejected essentially, and he bowled against the USA Under-19 squad in Northern California when they had a camp, and he was full of energy. He was, you could tell he was pissed off. This is like, he took it as a slight, and it was a motivational thing for him.
Yeah.
And we've seen that before with Jesse Singh. Jesse Singh is another one who, 2011, he was the last player cut from the U.S. Under-19 team. And kids can take that one of two ways. They can be totally dejected and deflated and say, oh, if I can't even make U.S. Under-19, there's no way I'm going to progress and make the U.S. senior team or anything else of consequence. What's the point of even continuing?
Yeah.
Or they get really pissed off and they take it as motivation, which is what's happened to Jesse Singh to forge what's been a decade-long career in the U.S. national team. And now Rushil Ugarkar. Now, I said him a couple of days ago, oh, this guy, he's done really well 3 wickets. He's still a long way off the USA radar, though.
No, he's on it.
He's, and that's something. I mean, based off of how he's finished in the playoffs, you can make a very strong case. He should be in consideration for a spot in a 15-man World Cup squad going to India, Sri Lanka next year.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And the part to me that was telling, we all saw the dive Kieran Pollard had the over previous in the 19th. And then he went off the field. I thought Paulie was going to bowl that over. I think everyone in the stadium thought Paulie was going to bowl that over. So I go to Rushil, when did you know you were going to bowl that over? Was it after Paulie did the dive? He goes, no, I was always going to bowl that over. So this wasn't a reaction, oh crap, we can't bowl Kieran Pollard, we're going to have to go to the kid. It was, he's our guy. He's the one we want to bowl this final over. And that to me is so telling. Manik Patel, the captain of USA, he saw that all from what would have been a deep cover. I was right behind him. And the passion in which he displayed towards Rushil, though that's not something that doesn't go unnoticed, right? And I think for me, he is almost locked in to be in a USA squad in a couple months' time, whenever their next tour is. And if he performs in a couple games in red, white, and blue, he could be in there, especially given Ali Khan's future. How healthy can he be, right? How healthy can Shadi Van Skalkovic be? How healthy is Sardar Volker going to be? How long are they all going to be around? Today, there's not a lot of young fast bowlers climbing up the ranks. Ayan Desai is a great example of a left-arm seamer that's been great. And now Rushil Ugarkar has probably stamped his name right amongst them.
Yeah, there was a hell of a lot of other things that happened in the match. We'll go back to the start. Quinton de Kock made a half century for the Orcas and all your phone. Yeah. You were on air, you were talking about this, and then it makes a half century tonight, this time for MI New York. And you brought up an interesting point in the commentary box, I believe, as he was approaching the landmark, with regards to the fact that the familiarity with the squad and the fact that, yeah, it came up against MI New York, but now that he's part of the team, he felt like he had a good familiarity, good role to play, and he showed it tonight, 77 off 46, 6 4s and 4 6s.
Yeah, and he needed to have it too, didn't he? He had a kind of a lean tournament in the back half. He had a strong start in Oakland in the first game in Dallas, but really since Lauderhill, it wasn't quite the same batter. And for him to bat alongside Leonard was huge. Look, you see, felt Washington probably won the first innings at the end of it. There should have been probably 190 to 200 runs on the board. And Washington with the ball, once they got Nicky P, it was Stars at their Volker's wicket for me, that kind of just turned the innings around. Then Lockie Ferguson comes in and he takes a QDK, he takes a Kieran Pollard, and bing, bang, bosh, the game's turned on its head. But then the good old guy who always is doing his thing, Trent Bolt, what a start to that innings.
Well, I thought, 200 is what I thought. I thought they were well short of par. And I was talking to a couple of people at the innings break, and I said it would take something spectacular to go wrong for the Freedom to screw up this chase. Mitchell went out for Golden Duck. That could have gone easily for 4. He middled that. He crushed that and picked out a backward point. Andres House pulling to deep square leg. Again, that felt like a sucker ball. That felt like part of a plan. Having the guy at deep square leg on the boundary in the power play, Andres House picked him right out. But then, even after those 2 wickets fell, we've seen situations countless times in this league where that's not going to really bother anybody. And the Freedom were cruising in this chase. Veteran Revenge is 70 off 41. And then Rushil Ugarkar comes on and it seesawed kind of the rest of the way. Even when they needed, I think it was 42 off 20, I still thought Freedom were in a decent position because you had the way Glenn Maxwell was batting and he wasn't looking for boundaries. He was looking for 2s. He saw everybody deep on the boundary, and his thought was, I'll just pinch 2s here, because if we can get 12 and over, that's just as good as 3 4s and over. So I didn't sense any panic. And then when Glenn Phillips hit those 2 6s off of Tristan Luce, I thought, that's it. Freedom's got this in the bag. And then everything went the other way.
Again, it was Trent Bolt, it was Rushil Ugarkar, and it was, again, talking to Rushil again, I asked him, was there any point in the game where you guys felt it was slipping away? And he was very candid with me. He said to me that prior to that 10th over, they felt the game was sliding. They felt that Washington were in real cruise control, and it would take nothing short of something spectacular to get them back in the game. But then he also said, after the 10th over, he said, by over 12 and 13, the required rate started to go up to 10, up to 11. And then that's when the team in MI New York started to feel, hold on, we're still in it. Even though we haven't taken the wicket, yes, the pressure is starting to mount. They need to start accelerating. We're not out of it. And you saw that calmness about MI New York and the way they went about business. We were talking about Rushil Ugarkar a lot, and deservedly so. We're talking about Trent Bolt. But Tristan Luce, equally, very young kid, only 20 years of age, threw us into some pressure situations and delivered some good stuff. Yes, he got hit for the 2 sixes, but he was great. You know, to then just sing. I mean, 3 overs from Jinder Singh to go for 18 runs. It's an off spin, a part-time off spinner, giving you 18 runs from 3. Glenn Maxwell, what did he go for, 50 in his 4 overs in his first innings? So there's those little moments for MI New York where they just felt like they were ahead, and it was just such an odd thing to see.
After the celebrations ended, Rushil Ugarkar came to the post-match presentation and the post-match press conference along with Nicholas Puran, and got a chance to ask him about some of the key moments in the match, and here's what they had to say.
How have you transformed your psychological approach and mindset in terms of being in a position where you might be considered the guy who's going to be targeted, and then as captain, how do you get to a position where you trust them to, instead of being of a mindset of this guy might be targeted to, this is somebody I can trust to open the batting, this is somebody I can trust to bowl the final over in a championship match?
For me personally, I just love these challenges because, you know, it's not every day you get to play against some of these international pros as well. And, you know, even sharing the dressing room with them is really special. So whenever I get these opportunities, I just try to make the most of it. You know, we play these kind of guys only once a year probably. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I'm giving a person every single ball, just thinking straight with good clarity and just communicating with the guys.
So as the curtain comes down on this season, it's time to pick our player of the tournament, our young player, and our moment of the season. Player of the tournament. Am I allowed to pick the guy that won it from the league? I think Mitch Owen, commentators had a part to play in those decisions. I thought Mitch Owen was the player of the tournament for me. There's plenty of names you could throw out there, but equally what to do with bat and ball all year for Washington. Didn't come off tonight, but I still think he deserved to be the player of the tournament.
It was very peculiar. When he came up to accept the award, you know, he was asked, how do you feel? And he said, I wish I could have done all the things I did earlier in the season tonight. Get out first ball, you feel for him, but he can't take away from the incredible season he had, and it put Freedom in a position to top the table and get to the final. Now, young player of the season, Rushil Ugarkar, the under-23 award winner. I mean, again, what he did, he finished. You look at the stats.
Yeah.
Regular season, very anonymous to an extent, and then it lit it up in the playoffs. He wound up finishing tied for 10th overall in the wickets column, especially based on his playoff performances. The way he finished the season is just so incredible and so special as a 22-year-old to do what he did. And he only played 8 games on, and that's the most remarkable thing for me. If he had games, what could he have done?
I mean, they just kept rotating him in and out. And remember, the first game, he didn't go well. He got hit for a lot of runs, really struggled with slower balls and trying to do different things, but gained confidence as the year goes on. Now, the moment of the season for me is Ihsan Adil's 6 balls in Lauder Hill against LAKR, because that was a catalyst for me. They lose that game, they're not make the playoffs. They're out. And now they win that game. That's our 3rd win of the year. And then they win 3 on the bounce in the playoffs. Finish the year 6 and 7, but they're lifting the trophy. I think that those 6 balls, he didn't blow it over in that game. They gave him the final over. You had to face Andre Russell and Jason Holder, and he went bing, bang, bosh, 6 balls on the spot in that last delivery. The perfect Yorker.
I'm going to go slightly unorthodox for my moment of the season. I'm going to go back to Oakland Coliseum, and it's Kyron Pollard. Kyron Pollard hitting a 6 that broke a window in Oakland Coliseum. and then coming back the next day and seeing tape put up over the window and the damage that had been done. That was a wake-up call to a lot of people who may have been experiencing cricket for the first time that, hey, these guys are serious power hitters. They come to mean business. And Karan Pollard, from that, all the way to the tournament final, lifting another trophy. What a remarkable career. And him passing his 700 T20 match over the course of the season. And he's still got a lot left in the tank on him.
He does, and he took a splendid catch today as well. He had it on the carom, but he got it done in the end. Some brilliant catches. I think the one that stands out, fast catch at the Coliseum, the one-hander, 40 years young, brilliant from Andrew Leonard on that. And there's so many moments and so many cool things for the season. I can't believe we've closed up another year of Major League Cricket.
Now, during this season of Major League Cricket, we've spoken to a lot of cricket fans and family members, whether it's California, down to Texas, coast to coast, in Florida too. And tonight, we met several different people in the crowd. Tim Lowell, who's been an active member of the Houston cricket community, was here tonight, as well as Omar Kokar, who came out from Chicago to see the tournament final with his family. And then the Nadkarni family also came up from Houston. Sushil Nadkarni, former USA captain, and his son Aaron, who made a senior team debut just a short time ago, early this year, as well as wife Pranoti and daughter Rhea, who's rising up the ranks in the U.S. junior women's circuit. And they all have fascinating perspectives about what MLC means to each of them. Here's what they had to say during tonight's tournament final.
Tim, what's been your thoughts on MLC 2025?
I think it's been a really good season. I mean, they've incrementally improved, which is a good thing to see. We've got the 3 venues. Hopefully we can get next year back in Oakland, because that was, looked like a spectacular success. So I think it's been, overall really positive, and, we'll just see how things go next year.
To see the way this stadium has been transformed from what used to be a minor league baseball facility into a cricket facility, what stands out to you about the way that it's been done, and also what kind of scope do you feel there is for potentially doing something like this for some of the other franchises, whether it's MI New York or Seattle or any other team that comes into MLC in the future?
Well, it looks like, in terms of the way this was done, it was absolutely spectacular. I mean, I think of the fields that I went to when I was a kid, this far outpaces that, just by huge amount. And they just did a fantastic job with it. In terms of what could happen next, Seattle's talking about, doing the berms like they do in New Zealand, that kind of thing, in a community ground. It looks like LA might be able to get in with the Olympics somehow, but who knows? It's a long way away, and a lot of things could happen. Who else is there? Washington. They're talking about several different places. That seems like the guy you interviewed the other day, Mr. Goville. He's working on all kinds of different things. There are expansion opportunities too, like in Chicago, they supposedly are building a stadium. You've got Atlanta, a lot of things happening in Atlanta. They could definitely put one in and then, demand that they have a team. So, it's getting, like I said, incremental improvements. It's doing well. So, yeah.
I'm here with Omar Kokar, came in from Chicago for the MLC final. You've been here all 3 years. You come down. You were also at the World Cup in New York last year. So you get around. You're a big cricket guy, big sports guy in general. What's this experience been like for you?
Oh, it's been great. To be able to watch world-class quality cricket, here domestically is so much fun. My family's all here. Kids are all here. My sister, my nieces and nephews. For us to be able to share our passion with them is priceless.
U.S. guys versus the overseas guys. Anybody you got your eye on here? I know you're really into promoting the U.S. guys. Who's stood out for you?
I think the huge news we saw yesterday was Sanjay Krishnamurthy, a true local, getting into league play down in the Guyana Super League or Global Super League. So as far as I understand, that's the first time there's really been a U.S.-born player who's been selected to go out to play into other leagues. I know there's other USA players who are more mid-career transplants to the U.S. who are playing leagues, but for Sanjay to be selected really shows you the quality of batting that he's done over the last few years. His body of work speaks for itself.
A stellar ninth over of the encounter bowled by Naz.
In that sense, somebody, like you said, from the U.S., born in Oregon, he's bounced around. He spent some time in India, obviously, but he's spent the bulk of his recent development in the Bay Area, and he's somebody who identifies strongly with that part of the community. I mean, to see him perform, what do you think that will do in terms of helping to inspire other kids, whether it's your own kids or somebody else, to pursue this?
That's what I was going to say. Where, you know, for my children who two of them play cricket, I mean, for them to see Sanjay or Mukamala or Yasir Muhammad or Ali Sheikh come up through the ranks and get into the USA team, I mean, that's who my kids are going to be looking towards. They're not going to be looking at the mid-career relocation folks as much. And so that's why I love to see those players come up, and I love to promote them in any way I can, because they're the future for my children too.
Being a former U.S. captain, seeing everything unfold in MLC like you have over the past couple of years, what sticks out to you the most?
No, this game has just grown leaps and bounds.
You were not playing in front of crowds like this, Rushil.
We were not playing in front of crowds, but after my playing days, I had the chance to kind of support the development of Major League Cricket. And from the first year to where we are now, that's phenomenal growth.
Aaron, you made your debut for the senior team recently, coming up through the under-19 system. When you see these guys on the field, and you know, guys you've been peers with, whether it's Sai Mukamala or other guys who they're only a year or two away from where you are peer-wise, when you see them getting an opportunity to perform, and then you think about what's possible for you, what goes through your mind?
You know, I think it's a good sign that youngsters are being given a chance in this country, and it gives me hope that I can do the same.
And Ria, for you, you're coming up through the system too on the women's side. To see this kind of cricket, I wasn't exactly there a couple years ago, but to see how things have changed, what is your opinion about how things have shifted, not just with MLC, but in terms of opportunities for women and female like yourself?
I think opportunities have gone up a lot, and there's a lot more engagement with the sport now from different places in the country.
And in Oakland, the U.S. women's players were actually brought onto the field at the innings break for one of the games to be honored at an MLC game in Oakland Coliseum. So to have that exposure for them and to get that recognition and to be honored in that way, when you see that, and that could be you one day, you know, what goes through your mind?
It gives me motivation, and like I start thinking I want to be there.
All right, Pranoti, she says she wants to be there. How are we going to make that happen?
Support them all the time and encourage them and just be there for them. That's all I've been doing all these years.
Social, anything else you want to say about where things have headed and where they could still yet go?
No, I think a few things. First of all, just following the American players in this league itself, we can see that the American players have stepped it up. So just seeing them getting more exposure, they're doing better. And now our US under-19s and the youth in this country, with the minor leagues and the major leagues coming in, I see a lot of opportunity for them, but the standards are really high, so they're going to have to really invest into the cricket to take it to the next level. I think on the women's side, though, huge growth from what I'm seeing. I mean, all the national tournaments extremely competitive, and there are a lot of girls taking to the sport, so that's great. And I was just talking to someone who's high up in the chain at MLC, and they were talking about women's major league potentially here in the US. So that could nothing better could be than something like that coming along.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. That was going to be the next question. How far off do you think that would be, and what would it mean to you to see potentially your own daughter playing in that competition?
No, absolutely. I think it's a huge possibility. If the stars align and there is support from various quarters, I think that's a huge possibility in the U.S.
Brilliant to hear from them and everyone we heard from throughout the entirety of the year. Can't believe we're in our final episode of Major League 2025. So please don't forget to subscribe, follow us, and rate us on Apple and Spotify. And if you want to get in touch, drop us an email at uscricketnow@gmail.com.
Got to say a big thank you to our producer for the podcast, Ollie Francis, who's done a remarkable job making us sound intelligent over the course of the month here, covering matches from Oakland Coliseum to Florida and through here to the tournament final in Grand Prairie Stadium tonight. U.S. Cricket Now is a Viral Tribe Entertainment and Square Cut production. Thank you for listening to us this year. And as Aaman said, we hope to see you back for next year in MLC 2026.